You have to be careful with your dreams because sometimes they come true, you know?
I don't know. It's very difficult, so. But I want to wear flip-flops and shorts and t-shirts. Well, I prefer this much more than somebody clapping my back after the game. That's not a debate. That's a war that you cannot win, no? No, but I'm very brave. Yeah, but tomorrow you're sick. This is why I do what I do.
Hello and welcome to The Carpet. This is the first ever episode of the Arsenal Quiz. How it works is in part one, we'll talk about the game that was, the highs, the lows, the twos, the throws. Then in part two, we'll be quizzing our guest on his specialist subject and 5 general knowledge questions that are, of course, provided by the mysterious, all-knowing Quizmaster. And in part three, we'll be looking ahead to the next game and screaming into the void about our inevitable lack of trophies this season. That's a joke, kind of. Yeah. So today we're going to be joined by a very special guest. You know him from his show, The Gooner Talk, his excellent articles for Football.London, and his surprisingly chipper attitude at 8 a.m. every morning. It is, of course, Tom Canton. Tom, how you doing, mate?
Bad, mate. How are you?
I'm not too bad. Are you good and are you well?
Indeed, yeah. I am. I'm decent, I'd say today. Tired,
Decent,
very tired.
Decent and well enough, yeah?
Yeah, as best it can be hoped. You can't complain.
Well, we were talking just before this about how you went out last night celebrating that amazing 1-1 0-0 draw, should I say?
Yes, it was. It's the type of performance and type of result that will send you in needing a beer. It's probably fair to say it was not. It's funny, isn't it? Like it was way better than West Ham. The West Ham game, it was way better than that. But it's just so obvious what our issues are, and it's so predictable that we are struggling to score. So if you'd have gone with a 0-0 or a 1-0 Forest, you know, you were in pretty good hands, I think, with those scoreline predictions because Arsenal just can't score goals at the moment.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, look, obviously it was better than West Ham. It still wasn't good, but it's weird. Just going into the game, it's the first time this season when I've just felt no pressure whatsoever. And a little part of me, the selfish part of me is like, that's quite a nice thing. You know, I'm like, oh, I can just sit down and watch the game. But then actually what that means in the bigger picture is this does really, in my heart of hearts, I know this doesn't mean anything anymore, which is a little bit sad, to say the least. I thought the game overall, we looked sluggish. We looked quite predictable. Lots of crosses into the box, lots of crosses into the back post. As is kind of tradition with Arteta's teams. Were you there? Were you at the game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as usual for Football.London doing the live ball, which is incredibly frustrating because there was no Wi-Fi throughout the whole game, so I couldn't really do my job, which was a pain. So then we had to kind of like work it in with people on desk in their homes and stuff, and I ended up just like rushing down to the press lounge afterwards to send in the player ratings and stuff where the Wi-Fi was working. So it was a frustrating kind of professional and, you know, from a match point standpoint, 2 hours of my Wednesday evening. But I think that the atmosphere actually, I think from the away fans was pretty good, even as we were approaching the end of the game, you know, with the scoreline not really in our favour. I think the fans have I saw an interesting quote today. I think it was talking about kind of on TalkSport, 2 fans had rung in. One fan rung from home to kind of complain about the situation and complain about Mikel Arteta. And another fan who was actually travelling the way back from the game rang in to say, I don't know what that guy's talking about. Like, we have been in such a bad situation. I've been going to games watching Mustafi cause us huge mistakes, and we're in the middle, you know, we're middle of nowhere, not going anywhere without any hopes and dreams. And I think maybe there's a perspective there. It's not to say that fans who go to games are, you know, more knowledgeable or their opinions matter more, but I do think there is something to do with kind of the weight of what it means, on your outlay financially, your outlay in terms of your time and commitment to go to those games. So the views of when you hear kind of fans who are doing that and have seen their investment been such a horrendous return in previous years to see where we are now, you kind of get that weight with the view on top of that as well.
Yeah, it was funny because so I was at work yesterday and I was working with a West Ham fan and a Villa fan. And it's really interesting how both of them were kind of quite, there's the work banter that you have, etc. and so on, but they were quite ready to be like, to kind of revel in the kind of Arsenal downfall, if you will. And I put this in inverted commas because we're still second in the league. And it's really interesting hearing people like the West Ham guy was saying, "Do you not want to sack Arteta?" Like he was genuinely asking, "Should we? You want him gone, right?" And I'm thinking, we're second in the league. Was it eighth, fifth, second?
Yeah.
I mean that's about as linear as you can get in terms of kind of improvement. And it is weird. It's weird how we're kind of seen from the wider view as kind of failing. Where look, we haven't won anything yet. Of course we haven't won anything yet. But the idea that we'd want to change this is really strange to me because we're clearly on the right direction. Let me jump into the actual game, the game itself. Some of the moments, I thought Saliba was incredible. You've obviously got that Saliba last ditch tackle on Chris Wood, which was unreal.
Yeah, very good. Very good.
What did you think of him in the flesh? Did he seem, his last couple of games he's been a bit nervous, I want to say?
Yeah, and to be fair, I think he made a mistake toward the end of the game as well, where he passed. I can't remember, it might have been to Alanga or Hudson-Odoi. I can't remember who it was on the break, and that nearly, cost us. And that last-ditch challenge actually comes because he initially fails with the kind of initial clearance and has to then dive in. But you're right, overall his performance was very good. Gabriel also made a really good last-ditch challenge, I think also on Wood in the first half as well, sliding challenge, which cannoned back off the New Zealand forward to earn Arsenal a goal kick. So another really good challenge there. But they were really the only times I felt a little bit like nervy. I know they had a few set pieces, but defensively, like we seem very secure. We aren't conceding too many goals. Arteta brought up that 15-game run in the pre-match press conference where he said, in those 15 games, we have the same goal difference as Liverpool. We've won the same number of games. We've drawn the same number of games as Liverpool. And that period is obviously definitely without Bukayo Saka for all of it. Martinelli without him for a significant chunk. Jesus for a significant chunk. And Havertz, of course, as well for a period too. And the fact that Arsenal have been able to go on that run and that period of time without losing prior to West Ham, I think shows that, the foundations still very much are there for Arsenal in terms of to be very competitive and to win games and to win well. But obviously the biggest issue that we've got is the other end of the pitch.
Well, that's it. I mean, it feels a bit Groundhog Day, doesn't it? Interesting time to be starting a podcast because, we're going to be having the same conversation. Well. Yeah, I'm good at that. We're going to be having the same conversation for the next couple of weeks, at least. It's going to be defense look good, attack, I don't know, So, we did have Mourinho up front. I'm still not convinced. I don't see what he brings us there. I think even, going back to when we had people like Jesus, etc. and so on, what was the main complaint when we had Jesus? He keeps dropping back into midfield. With Mourinho there, I think there's obviously the West Ham, not the West Ham game, the game before that, there was, the 2 goals, incredible. But I would like to see Sterling down the middle. I think if he's got anything left in the tank, it's his ability to finish and his nose for goals. It was sad watching him play because his legs are clearly gone. I mean, I'm not too sympathetic, really. He's not one of ours. He's on loan. But it is striking how little pace he's got. You can see him knock the ball, and once he goes to run onto it, it's just...
Yeah, I think it's striking how much little pace there is throughout the team, the available players. Sterling's definitely part of that. That's who he's bringing off the bench to arrest kind of an impact. And Nwaneri came off with fatigue, again, he's 17 years old. He's taken this big step up to senior football. It's a massive physical, load that he's having to do at an age where you don't tend to see, this level and certainly this number of minutes being exposed to somebody so young. And so it's no surprise he's having some struggles with that fitness-wise. And you're bringing him off for what you assume to be freshly fit, well-rested Sterling. And he offers nothing.
That's it.
Absolutely. It's got to the point where it's really irritating me that how little he is giving. To arrive at Arsenal and turn around to fans and say you're about to see the best from me when he announced did the announcement. I was like, great. This is a real chance for Sterling to revive his profile after a disappointing spell with Chelsea at one of their rivals in a title race situation. It could not be set up better for him to have a brilliant season, to really apply himself. But every time I watch him, the benefit of being in the stadium is that you can see what other players are doing, what the manager's doing on the touchline. He gets moaned at all the time by his teammates, by Arteta. I brought it up with Arteta after the game, actually, and he didn't really want to bite, at the idea of kind of picking out one player. As not really
that doesn't sound like Arteta not wanting to answer a question.
Yeah, so he didn't take not the bait, but I answered the question in the way of you've brought him on in the last few games. He's clearly there's been some issues with his performances that we've seen you on the touchline. How long do you give it before you look to say some of your youngsters instead to give you something more? And he didn't want to bite it.
Well, this is the thing. I think I'm not sure if I would say that he wasn't trying. I genuinely don't know if he's capable anymore. I saw him. It's interesting, that one move, that knock and run that you see Saka do all the time really well. You see Saka, he'll be running down the wing, he'll stop, face someone up, and then knock the ball past him and go down the wing or inside, wherever it may be, right? It's a very simple thing. And I was on his side in the stadium at the West Ham game, and I saw him do it. I saw him knock the ball past. I saw him knock the ball, and he just couldn't beat his mate. He did not have the pace off the, did not have the pace to get past his man. It's a sad situation, I suppose, for us, really. I'm sure Saudi will come knocking soon enough. But by that point he'll be out of our club. So I think really, if he's got anything left to give, it's going to be down the middle. There's no point in putting him on the wing. I suppose we can just hope for a slightly better performance next time. I want to do a very quick bit on Nwaneri because I thought he was excellent. The one piece of skill he had where he got the ball, I think it was Calafiori played the ball inside to him, done his man, drove towards a goal. And if it wasn't for a very good defensive challenge, we probably would have had a goal. He looks like our brightest spark. It's a shame that he's 17 and we can't play him for, 90 minutes like the rest of them. Apparently he was cramping up on 45, according to Arteta. So what did you think of Nwaneri this game and what can he offer?
Yeah, again, every single game, when you're looking at Arsenal to try and get something, he's the guy you're looking to pull something out of the hat, whether it's a spin into space and then a strike from range, because he's got such good finishing ability from outside the box that he needs to utilise that weapon of his as many times as he can. But I can't help but just feel for the kid at times. I mean, maybe that sounds weird because I guess if any 17-year-old in that position would love to be given this opportunity. But I almost want when these young players come through, like Lewis Skelly with the players that are around him in that defensive area. He's got Gabriel next to him. He's got Rice ahead of him. He's got Partey there as well. You've got players around you of real quality. Nwaneri is having to be the guy, whereas Lewis Skelly, when he's come through, has been more an accentuating factor to that defence. Nwaneri is having to be better than Sterling, better than Trossard, better than Erdogan. Better than these players that are playing around him that aren't offering much at all. He's not having the benefit of having those, players like Miles Lewis Skelly has got in his position and he's got there. So it's great, but it's also really, it's frustrating that he's having to be the bright spark for us.
Exactly. It's a bit of a double-edged sword. Again, if he was 24, 25 and doing exactly the same things that he was doing now, I think we'd all be a bit frustrated because we'd be going, you've got to get the goal, you've got to do this. There'd be that pressure. Whereas I think everyone now is going, if only, if only. But I can't dig out a 17-year-old for not lifting us single-handedly to wins. It's he's very, very good. He'll continue to get better, but there's only so much you can ask for.
Absolutely.
Right, well, I think that's kind of enough on Nottingham Forest. 0-0, doesn't do anything. We're not going to touch on the title race. It's done, guys. It's over. We just need to continue to pick up some draws, not fall out of the top four, and stay in the Champions League. Anyway, that's going to be the end of part 1. We're going to come back, and when we come back, we're going to be putting Tom to the test. Will he reach the top of the leaderboard? You'd hope so, given it's the first episode we've ever recorded. So we're going to come back in part 2. See you in a moment. Okay, welcome back to part 2 of the show, where it's down to brass tacks. Your specialist subject today, Tom, is Mikel Arteta transfers. Tell us why you went for this one.
I like transfers. I do a daily transfer show, and I'd hope that would give me quite a good... I've not done any revision because I just kind of want to test my knowledge off the bat. So I'm curious to see how I get on and how interesting and kind of specific your questions are going to be because, I'm intrigued to see where you've gone with this as a topic. Listen,
I obviously know the questions. They are provided by the all-knowing, all-seeing, mysterious question master. They're not my questions. You may get to meet him soon enough, but he's a very mysterious character. But there's 10 questions, 5 general knowledge questions, and 5 Mikel Arteta transfer questions. So I've had a look. I think you should be doing pretty well. You should get a couple of them with the specialist subject. The general knowledge questions are not easy.
Okay.
So
I've watched Alex on the Sky Sports episode get absolutely ripped to pieces. So I might be about to have some of his medicine. I guess we'll see.
Well, let's explain how it works. So you'll be asked 10 questions, 5 general knowledge, and 5 on your specialist subject. For each question, you'll be given 30 seconds to answer. We do operate on a trust system here, so if you're suspected of cheating or Googling or chat GPTing, then you'll no longer be welcome around these parts.
Phone is over there.
Good man. So, when you get a question wrong, you will hear this noise. Yeah. When you get a question right, you will hear this noise.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Arteta sounded very happy there.
I know, right? Yeah, it's unbelievable. He loves it. So as you can see below your camera there, you've got a little gold trophy. Ideally, you'll get 10 of these, but let's see. Let me reset there. And I'll put 30 seconds on the clock, and your time starts as soon as I read out the first question. So
do you have 30 seconds for all 10 questions?
You have 30 seconds per question. That would be unfair if I gave you 30 seconds for all 10.
3 seconds a question.
I know, right? Okay, so question 1. Who is the only player to have scored a league, domestic cup, and European hat-trick for Arsenal?
Oh, wow. That's a hell of a question to kick things off. So, league, domestic cup, and European hat-tricks. Okay. This is number 1. This is incredible.
It's a tough one.
It is tough. I'm trying to think of players I remember scoring hat-tricks.
5 seconds left.
Oh, I'm going to go Robin van Persie.
Robin van Persie. Was it Robin van Persie? It was not Robin van Persie. The answer you are looking for, who is the only player to have scored a league, domestic cup, and European hat-trick for Arsenal? Of course, it was if my button works.
Thierry.
It was Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
Ah,
It was indeed
interesting.
Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. So I'll give you a bit of context. Aubameyang scored a Premier League hat-trick against Leeds, a Europa League hat-trick against Valencia, and a League Cup hat-trick against West Brom. Other potential guesses.
West Brom.
West Brom.
That was that weird game, wasn't it? It was like Ramsdale's first game, I think, against West Brom.
Wow.
I think it was.
You know what? You got a better memory
It was
than me,
Ramsdale's first game, West Brom.
Yeah.
Europa League semi-final against Valencia, and then a hat-trick against Leeds. Yeah. There you go. So
Pretty
I know
exciting stuff. I know, right? Thierry Henry only had a Premier League and Champions League hat-trick. Ian Wright and Theo Walcott both had none in Europe. Cool. So, next question. Right. I've just read the wrong one, so that's fine. This is the joys of live quizzes. Right. Question 2. When Arsenal won the league in 2001-2, they beat 18 of the other 19 sides in the division, who were the only team they failed to beat.
Oh, no.
30 seconds.
I'm feeling like Alex now.
Don't worry, these are the general knowledge questions. They are hard.
Oh, I know, yeah. 2102. 2003 was the Leeds mess up. I will go with
10 seconds.
Everton.
Everton.
I'm going with them.
Everton. That is 1 second left. Was it Everton?
Oh dear.
It was not Everton. What did you say before you said Everton?
Leeds.
It was actually Leeds. So you were there. You were there. You had it.
Oh no, instinct. I should have gone with my gut.
You had it. You had it. And you I'm not going to say the B word. That's a shame. That is a damn shame. Bit of context for that one. Arsenal lost 2-1 at home to Leeds and drew 1-1 away.
I was
cool.
7 then.
And I definitely wasn't watching football by that point. So, yeah. Lovely stuff.
We weren't even allowed Sky. My parents wouldn't pay for it.
No, we had a dodgy... I mean, it's not like today's dodgy boxes, but we did have some sort of dodgy cable system running up to the bedroom. It's very exciting.
And fire sticks.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Okay, question 3. Don't worry, you do have your specialist subject coming up. These general knowledge questions are hard.
It can get worse.
It can get worse, yeah. But then it will get better. I'm sure it will get better. So, question 3. Arsenal have scored 7 goals in the Premier League on 4 occasions. Who were the first side we did so against?
7 goals in 4 occasions. Who did we beat with 7 goals in the Premier League? Goodness me. This quizmaster is really pulling out the tough ones.
Yeah, he's rough.
Process of elimination is going to be a club further down the table, rather one of the bigger ones. I will go with Southampton.
Southampton.
It's
not right. It's not right. It's not right. But if you would have said what you said for the last question, then you would have got it right. It was indeed Everton. 7-0 in 2004-5. Right. Should we go to question 4?
Was it the opening day? Was it the first day of the season?
Arsenal beat Everton 7-0 in May 2005. May, so...
Oh, it was the second game. We played them on the first game of that season, 04-05. So
good knowledge, though. Good knowledge. It's a
Not good
shame.
enough.
You've not got any of them right so far, but you've known
Which
all of
team
it.
did Arsenal play on the opening day of the 04-05 season?
Well, should we go to the next question then? That will be number 4. Who were Arsenal's first ever opponents in a competitive match at the Emirates Stadium?
Aston Villa.
Wow. Confident.
1-1. Olaf Milberg scored for Villa, and who scored for Arsenal? Do you know?
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yes, unbelievable. Incredible work. Lovely stuff. We're off the mark. Do you remember who scored for Arsenal?
Was it a defender?
It was a midfielder.
Who scored the first competitive goal for Arsenal at the Emirates? Was it Gilberto Silva?
It was indeed Gilberto Silva. Part of me wants to give you an extra point for that, but I'm not going to, because that's not how the game works.
No, I don't deserve it. But at least we're off the mark.
We're off the mark. We're off the mark, Tommy boy. Okay, right. So this is question 5 of your general knowledge, and then next up you will have your specialist subject. So I'm sure you'll get a couple more then. Okay, question 5. Who is Arsenal's highest goal scorer in the Premier League to have none of his strikes come from the penalty spot?
To have none of his strikes. Okay, so it's a player that has never scored.
Never scored a penalty in the Premier League. Highest Premier League goal scorer.
It's a great question. Who was a high scorer but didn't take penalties? Oh. Giroud definitely took penalties. Walcott definitely took penalties. I'll go Rob Perez.
Robert
No,
Perez.
he definitely took a penalty. That's a silly guess. Freddie Ljungberg.
Freddie Ljungberg.
That's a great question, though. I love that.
It's a good question. It's a very good question. And as per usual with this quiz, and you in this quiz, you answered it and then you went elsewhere with it. The answer was, of course, Theo Walcott. Theo Walcott never scored a Premier League penalty.
Oh, okay.
Pretty crazy. He scored 65 Premier League goals for Arsenal, none of them being penalties, apparently. Only player to score 50 plus.
I listen back to this podcast and
you're going
I'm going to have to make sure you're making this as hard as every single other person. The Quizmaster's making it as hard.
Don't you worry. Genuinely, I read the question, read the first 5 and thought you won't get any of them. I thought that's really hard, and you've got 1. So I'd say that's a good start. You got your specialist subject next. Okay, so let me get my questions back up here. Okay, question number 6. In the summer transfer window of 2020, which player did Arsenal sign for the highest fee?
Thomas Partey.
Yes, unbelievable.
Yes, unbelievable. Look at that. You're off to a flyer. Off to a flyer in the specialist subject.
It's good when you know the answers.
It is, isn't it? It is indeed. I thought Thomas Partey didn't have too bad a game against Nottingham Forest, to be honest. Once he came on, he had that awful shot though, didn't he? Where he did all the right things.
Yeah, and then he's probably our only decent player against West Ham as well in that game too.
Yeah. Sad times. Right, question number 7. One of Mikel Arteta's first ever signings as Arsenal manager was Pablo Mari. Which club was he on loan from?
Flamengo.
Yes, unbelievable.
Yes, unbelievable. Lovely stuff. That was easy, wasn't it?
We're
flying now. It's almost like it's your specialist subject.
Oh no.
Cool. Lovely stuff. Well done. Pablo Mari. He was tall. And
he was tall.
That's it. That's the only bit of information.
I remember there was a time when people were saying that he should start over Gabriel. I remember that period of time.
I do remember that. Yeah, Gabriel was scoring tons of own goals at the time, I seem to remember.
Yeah, he was having a minute.
He wasn't playing well, but now he might be the best defender in the Premier League. So I think we picked well, didn't we, really?
We did, yeah, we definitely did.
Cool. Question number 8. You've gone 2 for 2 so far in these. Can you get to 5 to 5? Question number 8. In the January transfer window of 2023, Arsenal signed Jorginho from Chelsea, Leandro Trossard from Brighton, and which defender from Serie A?
It was Jakub Kivior from Spezia.
Yes, unbelievable.
Jakub Kivior from Spezia. Unbelievable. Jakub Kivior, is he still on our bench somewhere?
Yeah, he's just not been playing. I think he made a mistake, didn't he? I think against Sané, and he's never really come back from that. So
I mean,
not used to it.
That's a fair few defenders in the world, I'd say. But yeah, he's a weird one because I remember when we first signed him, did a bit of kind of YouTube scout, and his passing range is incredible. Looked super composed, but I don't think he's up to the speed of the Premier League. I don't think he's got it, and I think we'll see him leave in the summer.
Yeah, I think he'll be gone.
He will indeed. Right, question 9. After a couple of loan spells, following Balogun eventually left Arsenal permanently in summer 2023, joining which side?
AS Monaco.
AS Monaco.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, mate. It is unbelievable. He joined Monaco. He's not done very well, has he, since he's left?
No, I don't think he's lived up to the hype. Although we could do with him right now. So
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's interesting.
Yeah.
We often get quite a lot of stick about, or we at least used to get quite a lot of stick about selling. You never see, Balogun brought up when we got about 35 million for him, and he scored a grand total.
Balogun and Nketiah, 60 million quid through the door. Boom.
Not bad, is it? It's not bad. Now, if only some of that money went towards signing someone, eh?
I know, it'd be nice. Striker as well, be great.
Nice.
2 strikers out.
Yeah,
0.
exactly. Nailed it. Let's do the selling part and the buying part, guys. Come on. Okay, right. This is your last question. You've gone 4 for 4 in your specialist subject. If you can get to a 5 out of 5, very impressed. Question number 10. Who was the first player Mikel Arteta signed from a fellow Premier League side?
Ooh. Well, Cedric Soares was a free, so it doesn't technically count. So that's 2020, 2021. That was the summer of Ben White and Ramsdale. White was before Ramsdale. I think I'm going to go, I'm forgetting anyone. Don't think so. January 2020. No, I'm going to go Ben White from Brighton.
Okay. So this is a contentious. This is a contentious point. It's Cedric. This is a contentious point because before we got him on a free, we did sign him on loan.
Oh, okay. Yes,
so was he a permanent signing or was he a loan signing? Do they all count as signings? That's tough.
I mean, yeah, they are. So I'm wrong. 100% it's Cedric. That's a classic case. As a former teacher, the first thing I'd tell my ex-students would be, read the question. And I've not read the question.
Yeah, I didn't say permanently. It just said signed.
It's Cedric. It is Cedric.
Listen, that's unfortunate. You answered
How many times have I done that?
4 questions.
Said the answer.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, I think that's very, very respectable. 5 out of 10, and these are only going to get harder. Honestly, the Quizmaster is a cruel mister, and I think you'll see a lot of people getting 2s, 3s, and 4s. So 5 out of 10, very, very good. So
as my missus calls me, solid 5 out of 10.
Solid 5 out of 10. Lovely stuff. That's what it says on my CV. Right. That is the end of part 2. When we come back, we'll be taking a look at the leaderboard. Wow, it's anyone's guess where Tom finished. And we'll be chatting about the Champions League fixture against PSG. So don't go anywhere. So, welcome back to part 3. This is the part where we talk about the upcoming fixture. So that is PSV Eindhoven. Obviously, given the last 2 fixtures we've played, I don't know how optimistic one can be about that. We've played them a lot recently, it feels like. How do you rate our chances on Tuesday, Tom?
Yo, they just got beaten by Go Ahead Eagles.
It's a great name. Go Ahead Eagles is top.
Yeah, it is a top name for a club. So yeah, they play them again this weekend. Actually, they played them. They lost at home in the semi-final of the KMVB Cup, 2-1, and then they play them again this weekend. Looking at PSV's team, they did play their starters, Perisic, De Jong, Bakayoko, Till, Veerman, Malacia, Buscagli. So they played their main guys. Noah Lang came off the bench, did Sobari, and Lucas Perez as well, who of course was signed for them on a free transfer.
Lucas Perez, lovely. Little
I was
reunion
expecting to
for
be one
us
of the
there.
answers to your questions. So,
I'm sure he will be at some point. Arsenal legend Lucas
Yes.
Perez. Listen, I think we obviously, you were there at Nottingham Forest. I watched it on TV. It's not great what we're doing at the moment.
Yeah.
But the defence does look good, as we discussed earlier. Saliba, Gabriel, potentially still the best centre-back partnership in the league. The amount of control that we had against Nottingham Forest was encouraging. We still lack any sort of attacking prowess. But I think if we're going to get through this tie, that's how we're going to do it. It's going to be keep them to nil, and hopefully try and nick one.
I think you're spot on. Yeah, I think if we can get a good result in Eindhoven, and by a good result, either a narrow victory or a draw, you would back ourselves to win at the Emirates. I think if we are going to the Emirates with having lost away from home, and I will be in Eindhoven next week for that. Looking forward to that. Amsterdam for a day as well. And then I think that it was going to be a struggle because we are so bereft of goals. We need to basically keep this to nil, I think, across both fixtures to give us... It genuinely could be a 2-legged 1-0 win that gets Arsenal through.
Exactly.
So let's hope and pray that Arsenal can work out how to score goals. I don't really want to see Mecca Moreno up front again. I think he's better come off the bench if indeed that's the case we saw against Leicester. So yeah, I think we've got to try and go for it in other ways for this one.
So we obviously touched on this earlier. If you weren't going to play Moreno up front, who would you play?
I would switch to a back 5. I'd go with Ben White on the right, Tierney on the left, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel in the middle, and then I'd go two dovetailing forwards of Trossard and Nwaneri as kind of a 2, and then the midfield 3 of Rice, Partey and Ødegaard still there. So you get the width from the wing backs. I think Ben White's really been missed on that right-hand side. And then Tierney, I quite like Tierney's performance, actually. He put a couple of good balls into the box, and I think you can get the width from those players and then use 2 kind of more narrow options in the middle.
Playing that typical little man up top. I like it. I mean, look, we've got nothing else, all jokes aside. This season, I have been quite frustrated, I have to say, about the sheer amount of crosses that we put in. I think it does work. I think just from an Arsene Wenger era kind of guy, it frustrates me a little bit watching sometimes quite, what's the word? I don't want to say turgid because that's too strong, but it's sometimes the football is get it to the wing and cross it in. It's quite rudimentary. So that does scare me a little bit. If we're trying to pick out Nwaneri, if we're trying to pick out Sterling, God forbid, if we're trying to pick out Leo Trossard, so that doesn't really fill me with confidence. Like I said earlier, I would like to see Sterling in the centre, even if it's just to rule it out, even if it's just to say, no, he completely can't give us anything. I do feel like it's been a little bit unfair putting him on the wing constantly, asking him to have pace when he clearly doesn't anymore. Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. It is going to be a really tough one. I think Calafiori was bright against Nottingham Forest. Obviously, he got taken off because of that yellow card. I think Arteta's clearly got a bit of PTSD about that. Would you be starting Calafiori or Miles Lewis-Skelly?
Yeah, if it is to be that kind of back four, I think Lewis-Skelly probably does come back in. I did like Calafiori's performance. I really did like it against West Ham. I thought he was awful against West Ham. And really struggled. Obviously, Lewis-Skelly came on and got sent off, but it's a little bit of a chaotic moment. There's an argument that Kudus also fouls him in that moment in retrospect too, which got missed by VAR. Classic. But yeah, I think Miles Lewis-Skelly probably does come back in for Arteta in that game. But as I said before, I'd like to see a wing-back situation, but I highly doubt he would choose to do that.
Yeah, no, I think I agree. It's whatever it is, it's going to be makeshift. Whatever it is, it's going to be a slog. We will just hope that we can keep a clean sheet, really, and whether it's Nwaneri from outside the box or a Marino header from a corner, I don't think we can expect much more than that, unfortunately. So I think we're going to leave it there, Tom. I know you've got to get off. I want to say thank you very much for coming to join me tonight. You've done really well in the quiz. 5 out of, I mean, you probably could have had 7
It's
or
not,
8.
is it? It's not great. Like,
listen.
I've set your table up perfectly, like solid average. Like
Listen,
5 out of 10.
5 out of 10 is, it is bang on average, but I'd say you could have had 7 or 8 there. If your finishing was better, you probably could have, you could have had a lot more. With that finishing. Yeah, very Arsenal,
100%,
and always keeping it on brand, which I respect. So thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you to you, the listener, the watcher, the viewer, joining us. You can see along the bottom of your screen, we're at the Arsenal quiz. You could literally be our first follower. So drop a like and subscribe on the video. Do all of that YouTube stuff. If you want to see more of this, we're going to be making more of this. Thank you very much and good night.
You have to be careful with your dreams because sometimes they come true,
I don't know. It's very difficult, so. But when I wear flip-flops and shorts and a t-shirt, well, I prefer this much more than somebody clapping my back after the game. That's not a debate. That's a war that you cannot win, no? No, but I'm very brave. Yeah, but tomorrow you're sick. This is why I do what I do.